Many thanks for that introduction, Goldie. I'm delighted to be here today. I think you have all spent the better part of a day discussing some of the biggest issues in technology and in government. Since our nation's inception over 2 centuries ago, our government leaders have confronted the technology issues of the day. Reflecting on our past and planning for our future, I see a common foundation in our nation's success. That is, emerging technology put at the service of the American people. For decades, technology has been fundamental to our economic prosperity. Rising labor productivity is at the root of rising wages, and by some measures, technology accounts for over 50% of labor productivity growth in America over the last 70 years. The Bureau of Economic Analysis estimated that the digital economy grew at an average rate of 5.6% from 2006 to 2016, a rate over 3.5 times faster than the overall economy. Now, emerging technology has completely changed the way that we live and work as Americans. In the 1980s, computers were first available for mass public use. Today, global e-commerce is worth $28 trillion. That is an increase of 44% in just the last 5 years. 55% of jobs now require some kind of technology skills, a number that's expected to jump to 77% by 2024. Now, the IT sector has 10 times as many workers now as it did in 1970 and accounts for over 40% of all private investment in the United States. But the benefits of technology can be seen in much more than just job growth and economic output. Technological advancements have been the key driver of improvements to the quality of life of Americans for generations. When it comes to America's older adults, smart homes now can detect health changes, allowing people to spot problems earlier and improve health outcomes. As many of the new power companies have begun using drones to inspect power lines, not only increasing the safety of those inspectors, but also allowing workers to restore power faster than ever before. On the border, we're starting to use artificial intelligence and machine learning to thwart drug trafficking and curb illegal entry. These examples don't even include the innovations we now take for granted, innovations that once themselves were emerging technologies developed by Americans in America and for America. From the internet and personal computers to organ transplants and refrigeration to supersonic jets and satellite imagery, technological advancements have vastly improved our lives. So when I look at emerging technology today, I do so with optimism. In fact, immediately after this event, I will be departing for Argentina to attend the G20 Digital Economy Ministerial Meeting. There, I will represent the United States with that spirit of optimism to promote emerging technologies in our interests abroad. Now, after all, Americans are people who recognize that emerging technology is necessary for our economic prosperity, for improving our quality of life, and keeping our nation safe. 3 goals fundamental to our success as a nation. Now, though many fields may show great promise, there are 3 important areas that I believe the United States must focus on to achieve those goals: artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, and connectivity. So first, artificial intelligence. Now, advances in AI are rapidly transforming how we navigate cities, how we manufacture goods, how we grow and distribute food, how we treat diseases, how we keep our nation safe. And we're already beginning to just see how much AI can do. The National Eye Institute, for example, estimates that over 7.5 million Americans have diabetic retinopathy, and most patients with diabetes are not adequately screened for the disease. Now, recently, the FDA approved the first ever AI-based medical diagnostic device to detect diabetic retinopathy. This innovative use of AI can be the difference between blindness and sight for many Americans across the country. Now, the federal government is also pairing AI with some of the world's fastest supercomputers at our national labs to improve health outcomes for veterans. When it comes to basic research, the federal government is playing a foundational role in artificial intelligence advancements. President Trump was the first president in history to name AI as a national R&D priority, the first to include artificial intelligence as a specific budget priority, and the first to include AI in the president's national security strategy and national defense strategy. Now, alongside AI, this administration has been especially focused on the safe development and deployment of autonomous systems. Now, in 2017, 37,000 Americans lost their lives on our roadways, with human error being the cause of 94% of those serious crashes. Now, automated vehicles have the potential to remove human error from the crash equation. Given this potential, we have the moral obligation to advance the safe development and deployment of these systems. The Department of Transportation's updated non-regulatory guidance for autonomous vehicles and the President's executive action last October to establish a pilot program for testing innovative drone operations have both given industry and local communities space to innovate in this rapidly expanding field. But autonomous systems affect much more than just transportation. Over the past 20 years, GPS-guided tractors have created precision agriculture, allowing farmers to gain higher yields from their crops while feeding more people at a lower price. Autonomous agricultural systems are predicted to reduce fuel, labor, and equipment costs by over 20% while increasing farm yields by 70% by 2050. Now, in order for communities to benefit from those advancements, they need the connectivity to support these technologies. That is why the administration strongly supports expanding broadband connectivity to unreached communities across the country. Currently, 24 million Americans don't have access to high-speed internet, including 39% of rural America. Without internet, these Americans have limited access to capital and markets, job training and workforce development, and information and healthcare services. Since 2010, 87 rural hospitals have closed in America, and hundreds more are at risk of shutting down. That is a problem in and of itself, but rural access to telehealth services enabled by expanded broadband can help close that gap. Providing rural Americans the ability to connect, run a business, and support their families with the internet gives them the priceless choice to actually stay in the place where they love and grew up in instead of uprooting in search of opportunity elsewhere. Now, we've already made some progress to expand connectivity. Earlier this year, the President signed an executive order to reduce permitting delays and speed up broadband access. He also directed the Secretary of the Interior to make available the nearly 4,000 towers that DOI owns across the country to accelerate the deployment of broadband in rural America. These three focus areas of AI, autonomous systems, and connectivity are hardly exhaustive, but they clearly demonstrate the potential of emerging technology to change American life for the better. However, none of these technological advances happen in a vacuum. We should be optimistic about the future, but in a way that doesn't ignore the challenges and concerns arising from these changes. Prominent among those concerns is privacy. Now, the administration is fighting to protect the personal information of the American people and to ensure that people are freely communicating, buying, selling, and collaborating online. The Federal Trade Commission is already a strong privacy enforcer and regulator. Yet, according to a 2017 study by NTIA, nearly 3/4 of internet-using households were significantly concerned about online privacy and security. To address these concerns, the administration has been coordinating across federal agencies to protect online privacy and increase user trust and awareness. The first step is to listen to stakeholders, which agencies across the administration have already begun, in order to find common ground and to ultimately establish core, high-level privacy principles for American consumer data. Now, on every issue I've discussed, it's obvious we cannot fully realize our potential through government action alone. Our future depends on the dynamic collaboration between educators, researchers, industry leaders, startup investors, innovative Americans, and policymakers at all levels working together to serve the best interests of the American people. Everyone in this room knows that advancing emerging technology is about that above all, the people. It's about people given the gift of sight. It's about people learning online with new broadband access. It's about people who return to loved ones every day after a safe drive home. And it's about people caught in the crossfire of war whose lives are saved because we developed the ability to strike terrorists with greater precision. As of late, some in the tech community have publicly called into question whether their values and interests still align with the values and interests of our country and fellow citizens. Nothing could be further from the truth. We should look at our role in the world honestly. If America does not retain our technological dominance, other countries will take our place. Most likely nations who do not share our basic respect for rights or devotion to helping people. America remains the single greatest defender of the core values the tech community holds dear and relies on to thrive. Those of freedom, of opportunity, of innovation, and of free markets. At the foundation of our common success stands our nation's unique and long-standing guarantee of rights, the protection of American law, the stability of our institutions, and the audacious spirit of the American people. These virtues cannot be explored abroad nor taken for granted because they exist here in America in a combination that can be repeated nowhere else on earth. Titans of technology have the power to save and improve lives, tear down walls of censorship instead of build them up, and connect the people of the world to millennia of human knowledge. America has been and remains the best place in human history to develop transformative technologies. It is my hope that we continue to work together, our people, our government, and our industry that stands with America and for America because in its heart it is American. This devotion to our fellow man and patriotism for this country worthy of our love help create the wonders we enjoy today. Renewing that devotion will open the way to new wonders and an even better world tomorrow. Thank you so much.